Okay, it's showtime. Hi, folks. Today we're covering a very important topic, which is the basics of Social Security retirement benefits and how to create Social Security strategies in order to maximize you and your family's lifetime benefits. Which begs the question, why should we even consider approaching our Social Security benefits from a strategic point of view? But before we jump into that, I'd like to apologize to anyone on today's webinar who tried to log into our last webinar on March 23rd and couldn't get into it without a password. Somehow, the back end of our Zoom account activated the password option as a default to get into the webinar, and we were not aware of it. We have since corrected it, and so please rest assured that it will not happen again. We promise you that. Right, Joe?
Absolutely.
Also, I'd like to tell you a couple of quick stories that I've experienced to drive home the point of why we should be educated on Social Security and how it can make such a big difference in our lives when we are. First, at a routine meeting with a prospective client about 6 years ago, I sat down with a couple where he was age 70 and she was age 65. He had worked paying nearly the maximum into Social Security for over 40 years, and he had been collecting his benefit since he was age 65. She had not worked when she was younger and raising their children, so she believed that she was not eligible for Social Security benefits at all because of it. So she had started her own cleaning company 8 years prior with the goal of paying enough into Social Security over 10 years until she was eligible. It turned out that even if she had paid in for the full 40 quarters or 10 years, her worker benefit would still not have been as much as the spousal benefit that she was already eligible for prior to even working at all. And she didn't even know it. I have to tell you, they were stunned to hear that news. Second, I sat down with a woman who was a 60-year-old doctor about 5 years ago. She was wondering when the best time would be for her to take her Social Security benefits. She told me that she had asked her accountant and he had told her that since she had a 7-figure savings and a 6-figure income, that it wasn't really going to matter when she took it because it was just really going to be cream on top of everything anyway. So she was going to take it at age 62, she told me, because of his advice. They both had no idea, though, that based on the Social Security rules, she would not only have been penalized her entire benefit for that first 4 years, but when she did eventually start getting it, it was going to be reduced by 25% for the rest of her life. To say the least, they were extremely surprised to find that out. These are just a couple of examples of how important it is to know the rules when it comes to filing for your Social Security benefits. And what's even more important is to find out the correct timing on when you and your spouse, if you're married, should take your benefits if you're interested in getting the most money you can from the Social Security system over your lifetime. Now, these are the things that we're going to discuss on our webinar today. First, we're going to give you a little history and facts about the Social Security system that most people should probably know. Then we'll discuss the rules when it comes to not just the Social Security system in general, but also each of the individual types of election choices that we all have available to us. Once we do that, we'll look at some simple scenarios that could be used for strategies to enhance both a couple's and a single person's Social Security benefits. And in doing so, you'll be able to see for yourself exactly how much of a difference it can make when implementing a good Social Security strategy. Okay, now do you guys have a clearer understanding of what we're going to cover today Before we jump into it, I'd first like to thank each of you for joining us today to discuss this very important topic. My name is Brian Dougherty of PLC Financial Solutions and PhillyLabor.com, and I'm your host and presenter for today's webinar, along with my co-host and brother, Joe Dougherty, the Executive Director of the Injured Workers Advocacy Program and Principal of PhillyLabor.com, the Philadelphia Union Community's online media hub, and host of the Labor Show on 1210 AM Talk Radio. How's it going, Joe? And how excited are you to be offering the labor community and their families and friends our second major topic, Social Security strategies, on this webinar today?
Well, I'm ecstatic about it, Brian. I want to welcome everybody to the webinar, particularly because this is our second in a long series of Philly Labor educational webinars, free webinars that we're going to be doing on a monthly and bi-monthly basis. I'm ecstatic that we can provide this information to you, and at the same time, it's fantastic to be able to have this medium. We've gone out to many union halls over the years, and often when people don't have this information, the long faces, are it's difficult to look and see what people have missed out on, opportunities that they didn't know about. So on behalf of PhillyLabor.com and the Labor Show and the Injured Workers Advocacy Program, I not only want to welcome everybody, I'm glad to be here, and I'm appreciative of my brother, Brian Dougherty, who is an advocate for everybody on the broadcast and our entire union community. So sit back, get your notepads. There's going to be a video of the webinar, and take this information that is game-changing and often life-changing in, and I hope it means a lot and everybody gets a lot out of it. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Also, as usual, we're here with my beautiful partner in business and life, Rachel Dougherty. Say hi, Rachel. She's going to be our moderator for it, as always. Thank you, Joe, for that awesome introduction. Of course, we've been so excited about the idea of bringing these topics that are really should be common knowledge to everybody in their life. Social Security strategies, Social Security information, Social Security disability, Medicare. These are pretty much things that we found through our broadcasts, and Joe being the host of many radio shows on AM Talk Radio are pretty popular. Okay, so before we get started though, let's take care of a little general housekeeping. If the screen is not big enough for you to read, you can click on the View Options drop down at the top right of your screen and make it larger. Also, you'll see that there are two boxes at the bottom of your screen. One called Chat, it's for your comments, and the other called Q&A for your questions. Please use them accordingly, and Rachel will respond to them in kind. Next, I'm sure that many of you guys are going to have questions about our material as we go along. However, since we have a good bit of material to cover and only an hour or so to cover it, I'm going to ask you to put those comments and questions in those boxes below, because at the end, we'll be staying for some extra time to cover as many as possible. But if we don't get to yours, we'd be happy to answer it either by email or even a 15-minute Q&A phone call scheduled for another time. Rachel will be posting a link for you to schedule that at the end of the webinar. Next thing, this webinar, like Joe mentioned, is going to be recorded, and it's going to be sent to everyone who is attending tonight. So don't worry about missing anything. You'll have plenty of time to check it out at your convenience. Also, because we want to make sure that you're all paying attention, and because we'd like you to have some fun as well, before we answer any questions tonight, we have a 6-question quiz for you at the end. And the first person to answer each question correctly inside the comment box will win a $10 gift card to a store of your choice. So make sure you have a notebook, like Joe said, handy to jot down some brief notes related to some special bullet points that I'll point out as we go along. Finally, it's my obligation as a financial advisor and a fiduciary to inform you of our RIA's disclaimer statement, which is that our investment advisory services are offered through Fusion Capital Management, an SEC registered investment advisor, and we only transact business in states where we are properly registered or are excluded or exempted from registration requirements. Also, SEC registration is not an endorsement of our firm by the commission and does not mean that our advisors have attained a specific level of skill or ability. And most importantly, all investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. So now that we got that out of the way, I have one for you. And this is one I actually got from my youngest son, Com. He said that he actually made it up himself, which I was pretty impressed with. So here it goes. What do you call a duck on drugs? A quackhead. Did I use that on our last one? Joe, did I use that on our last one?
I don't know, but I hope we don't use it on our next one. Yeah, but what I do want to say is this. I'm going to take myself out of the screen, get my notepad, and I'm going to sit back and be educated as well. I'm so looking forward to this webinar and the information that is going to be provided.
All right. Glad to hear it. Hopefully everybody will get a good bit out of it.
All right.
So now. Now, I want to mention before we get started that much of this material that we will be covering today has been obtained from the Social Security Consulting LLC website and their nonprofit sister company, the National Social Security Advisor Certificate Program, which is our nation's only accredited Social Security certificate program and the source of my own Social Security Advisor certificate. As you can see, 9 out of 10 people age 65 and older are receiving Social Security benefits, which of course makes it a very big part of our retirement plans and that much more important to the plan ahead when it comes to it. So because the employees at the SSA, although very well trained, are directly instructed to specifically not give advice when it comes to people's election choices and helping them to make the best choices with them. This means that you have to know what's best for you and your family before you sit to file your claim, whether it's with at the Social Security Administration office or online. It really doesn't matter. Some history related to Social Security. It was passed into law in 1935. Now, remember, there are a few bullet points here. Like I mentioned, make sure you have that notebook available. It was passed into law in 1935 under President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. People actually started receiving it in 1937. Let me say that again, 1937. The family and survivor benefits were implemented in 1939. The first inflation adjustment was in 1950, and it was for a whopping 77%. We just got hit with about it was about a 6% inflation adjustment or COLA adjustment, cost of living adjustment. This year, it was one of the biggest ones we had in years. Doesn't even come close to that one, 77%. The Medicare Act was passed in 1965 under President Lyndon Johnson, which started the Medicare program. The first annual automatic cost of a living adjustment, also known as the COLA, was passed in 1972, but it didn't actually go into effect until 1975. It started being taxed in 1983 under President Reagan. The penalty for working while collecting Social Security was eliminated for anyone at their full retirement age and beyond in the year 2000 under President Clinton. And 2022, Social Security had its 87th birthday. Happy birthday, Social Security. Getting up there. All right, let's discuss some of the differences in the circumstances between what things were like when the fund first started and how things have changed over the years. In 1935, the average life expectancy was under age 60. Most people would not live to collect Social Security because you couldn't collect until age 65. It was designed to be a supplement retirement savings, not your primary savings. The worker to retiree ratio at that beginning was 160 people paying in for every one taken out. The total amount of benefits that were paid out in the year it went into effect, 1937, was only $1.2 million. And this is whopping crazy, but poverty rate for seniors at that time exceeded 50%. Unbelievable. Now, what's it like today? The average life expectancy right now for a male is age 82 and for a female is 85. People can now outlive their retirement savings, making Social Security that much more important. Social Security makes up about 40% of all current retiree income. The worker to retiree ratio today is only 2.8 people paying in for every one taken out. Unbelievable difference. The total benefits paid out in 2019 was over $1 trillion. It actually just crossed over. It was a $1.048 trillion. Now, this one's a good one. The poverty rate for seniors today is less than 9.5%, and a lot of that is due to Social Security. Now, let's look at the growth rate over the years. Like we said, 1937 started, it was actually just shy of $1.3 million paid out. 1950, about 961 billion. Or 61 million in 1950. In 1980, $247 billion. 2000, $407 billion. And like we just said, 2019 just crossed the $1 trillion mark of benefits paid out. Here's the breakdown in percentages of how much was paid out in 2019 between the different types of benefit classifications. A little over 70% to retired workers, about 4% to spouses, a little over 6% to children's benefits, and a little over 6% to widow and widowers benefits. And disabled workers, it was a little over just north of 13%. Let's talk about a really hot topic when it comes to Social Security. Will the benefit be there for us when we retire? A lot of people seem to think that it will not be there for us. Now, here are the facts about it. The full name of the Social Security Trust Fund, which is nothing more than a big savings account where all of the annual surpluses from the revenues that are paid into our Social Security program since its inception have been saved, is the Federal Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund. Now, this is an older slide, but in the beginning of 2021, there was actually $2.908 trillion in that fund. And it was all made up of US Treasury securities by mandate. It cannot invest in anything but US Treasury securities like T-bills, T-notes, and T-bonds. Now, it had a $2.5 billion surplus in the fund in 2019. The problem with the fund is that it's been projected that the income it receives every year, which comes from three main sources right now: Social Security payroll taxes, the income taxes retirees pay on their Social Security benefits, and the interest on the U.S. securities inside the fund. The total of the three in 2019, all the income sources, was $1.061 trillion of total revenue that the program took in. And here's the breakdown. 945 billion of it came from the Social Security payroll taxes. So the major lion's share of Social Security revenues comes from the Social Security payroll tax. Somewhere around it caps off at about $147,000 worth of income. After that, there's no more payroll tax. 36 billion came from the Social Security income taxes, and 81 billion came from the interest from the U.S. securities. Now, even though that's a lot of money, at some point soon, it will soon not be enough to cover the expenses the fund has, which includes all the Social Security benefits being paid out every year and the administrative costs related to operating the fund, all of which totaled at $1.059 trillion in 2019. That little difference between the incomes and the expenses was the $2.5 billion surplus that the system took in. And actually, 2021, it was down to about $2 billion surplus. So when the expenses do exceed the income at some point soon, the $2.9 trillion in U.S. securities inside the trust fund will need to start to be liquidated every year, a little at a time, in order to pay the expenses that the current three income sources will not cover. So, how long will it take to use up the entire $2.9 trillion in the trust fund? Which is really, like I said, just a big savings account for a rainy day for the fund to pay for Social Security benefits. It's estimated to run out somewhere between 2034 and 2035. So the trust fund is going to run out. We're still going to have the revenue coming into the program from those three, well, not three sources anymore, only two. So since by law, the Social Security system cannot operate in the red and will no longer have the rainy day fund to pull from, the big question then is, what's going to happen to the Social Security benefits, to our Social Security benefits at that point? Well, at that point, the only sources of income going into the fund or into the program that will be available to pay our Social Security benefits and the administration expenses for the fund are the payroll taxes, also known as the FICA tax, and the income taxes on the Social Security benefits that our retirees have to pay every year, because those treasuries and the interest they're going to be all used up. So it's been estimated that at that point, only about 79 cents on every dollar promised to people will be available to pay our Social Security benefits at that time. This means, as of now, the worst case scenario is that our Social Security benefits will be reduced by around 21% of what we were expected to receive. So it will still definitely be there for us, but we just won't be collecting as much as we were originally promised and as much as those who came before us received on a dollar-to-dollar basis. So I hope that clears that up. Since the Social Security Trust Fund is going to be getting whittled away at over the next 13 or 14 years, There have been many ideas that have been tossed around Congress to solve the problem before it gets out of hand. Here are the leading considerations. First, move the full retirement age from age 67 to 70. Well, that may make sense because life expectancies are so much greater than they were when Social Security started. Second, all earnings would be subject to Social Security payroll tax. Like I said, only right now about up to $147,000 of earnings are taxed. So that would mean they'd take the cap away and all earnings, anybody making over 147,000 and beyond would all get taxed. This is the one that I believe would actually work the best. There are several economists out there that seem to think that if they took this approach, they could actually fund in advance 75, or not in advance, they could not only keep funding the benefits at their current rate for the next 75 years, but they could actually also increase the benefit to for the lowest 10%. They're talking about possibly means testing. I hate this idea. Could you imagine have to see if you were eligible based on how much you make, whether you're going to get your Social Security that you paid in for all them years for? Could happen, but I hate the idea. They're talking about decrease the percentage of the delayed retirement credits. We'll talk about what those delayed retirement credits are, but it wouldn't get you from if you work past your full retirement age, you wouldn't get as higher increases as you get now. They're also talking about delaying eligibility age from age 62 to 64. That might be a viable idea too. They're also talking about reducing the COLA. We'll talk about that a little, but I don't think that'll happen either. Okay. Now, before we start looking at the rules related to Social Security, here are the four main categories of benefits that are available. You got your retirement benefits that start at age 62 and stop growing at age 70. You got survivor benefits. The surviving spouse currently gets the higher of the two benefits between spouses. You got disability benefits, but you have to qualify for those. And you got family benefits. They can pay out as much as 180% of the worker benefit to dependent family members. Okay, let's jump into the general rules. Throughout this workshop, you'll hear a few terms and abbreviations related to Social Security. These are the most common that you should definitely be familiar with. You got the FRA, or full retirement age. That's the age at which a person may first become entitled to full or unreduced retirement benefits. You got the PIA, that acronym, and that stands for the primary insurance amount. That is the benefit amount a person will receive if he or she elects to begin receiving retirement benefits at his or her full retirement age. At this age, the benefit is neither reduced for early retirement nor increased for delayed retirement. And then you got the SSA, or Social Security Administration. That's been already saying that a few times. And then you got the COLA, the COLA, the cost of living adjustment. There are ones that you just got to know what they mean. You hear them all the time and you read them in all the Social Security pamphlets. So let's talk about how to determine your full retirement age. When the fund started, everyone's full retirement age was age 65. Then Congress decided we needed to push the full retirement age back to eventually be age 67. But they made it where the largest block of folks born between 1943 and 1954 would have a full retirement age of 66 in order to drag the process out for a while. And then everyone's full retirement age who was born between 1955 and 1959 would increase in 2-month intervals. The same would be true for everyone born between 1938 and 1942. And finally, everyone who was born in or after 1960 would have a full retirement age of 67. So, How do they determine how much our benefits are going to be? First, they multiply your past earnings by an index factor in order to adjust them for inflation. Second, they take your highest 35 years of earnings and they add them all together. Third, they divide that total number by the number 42 or 420, sorry. Gonna be messing everybody up, which is the number of months in 35 years. The final number from this equation is referred to as the AIME, A-I-M-E, which is short for your average indexed monthly earnings. This is not what determines what your benefit amount is, though. To determine your benefit amount, your AIME is used in what is called a bend system, which is a little too time consuming for this workshop, but it works a lot like our tax bracket system. All you need to know for now anyway, is that the result of the bend formula is what they refer to as your PIA, or primary insurance amount. And that is how they determine what your full retirement Social Security benefit is. They refer to it as the PIA, or primary insurance amount. So here are the rules related to individual benefits under different circumstances. So, collecting Social Security benefits before your full retirement age will cause your benefits to be permanently reduced, as you see these percentages here. So if you collected any of those age 62, 63, 64, 65, you can see the reduction percentage if your full retirement age is 66. And if you wait and delay to age 67, 68, 69, 70, you can see it increases by 8% each of those years. Collecting Social Security benefits after the full retirement age can get you as much as 32% additional monthly payment or additional benefits every year. You add that also, and that compounds with the COLA, the cost of living adjustment. Of course, if you change the full retirement age, and in this case, like we said, it's 66, the percentages of the decreases and the increases of your benefits will change slightly as well. So these percentages will actually change to be a little less or a little more. Of course, sorry about that. So when it comes to working while collecting Social Security, these are the rules. Remember, Social Security benefits were intended to be supplemental retirement income. So the Social Security Administration really wants you to be retired when you collect them. Therefore, they'll be penalized. They'll penalize you for collecting early if you're not actually retired. If you collect benefits early, you will be subject to what is called the annual earnings test, which looks exclusively at your earnings every year. Prior to full retirement age, if you earn more than the threshold amount of $19,560, that's in 2022, that number usually goes up a little every year, you lose $1 of benefits for every 2 earned over that threshold. Now, keep in mind, this is on top of already receiving a reduced benefit for the rest of your life. Although in the year that you reach your full retirement age, a different rule applies. The threshold then becomes $51,960, again by 2020 numbers. And the rule changes as well too, because then you only lose $1 for every 3 additional dollars that you earn over that threshold. So That's if you start working in the year you're going to turn your full retirement age. So it gets a lot better in that year. Now, once you make it to the month in which you turn your full retirement age, not to your birthday, that's not when, to the beginning, the first day of the month, you're going to turn your full retirement age. Then there's actually no more threshold applied, and you can earn as much as you want with no reduction in the benefits applied. And so you know, this applies to all Social Security benefits except Social Security disability benefits. That means it includes individual benefits, spousal benefits, child and survivor benefits, all of those types of benefits. If the worker who all those benefits stem from ends up getting a reduction in their benefits from working, everybody else who's collecting off that claim is going to get a reduction in benefits too. Although you should also know that these penalized benefits are not kept by the Social Security Administration forever. They are returned back to you once you turn your full retirement age, but not in a lump sum. They're distributed evenly from the time you reach your full retirement age until you reach what the government sees as your life expectancy age. So if you die before that, your family will receive that benefit still if they're collecting on it. If any of them pass before when that time would have been, then the benefit is lost. Okay, now let's talk about spousal and survivor benefits. When it comes to spousal benefits today, the number one thing you must understand is what the term deemed filing means. And it's actually pretty simple. What it means is if you were born after January 1st, 1954, when you file for your benefits, it's considered that you are filing for all the Social Security benefits that you are eligible for at the same time. So if you're eligible for both a worker benefit and a spousal benefit, then you are filing for both and will receive a combination of both in your benefit. This was not always the case. At one time, you could file for one and leave the other grow in the system until a later date, which was usually age 70 for many people. This allows folks to more easily maximize their benefits, but that stopped as a result of the Bipartisan Budget Act of 2015. Okay, so how does deemed filing work? Well, to explain this, we're going to refer to our fictitious couple, Samantha and Jeremy, who you're going to hear a lot more about as we go on. And in this scenario, Jeremy is the higher earner who filed a worker benefit, who files the worker benefit, whose full retirement age, PIA, primary insurance amount, remember the acronym, is $2,200. And Samantha is the lower earner who files a spousal benefit. When Samantha turns her benefit on, she's now required to take her spousal benefit, or what the Social Security Administration calls a spousal boost. At the same time, because her spouse, Jeremy, is already receiving his own worker benefit. So when he filed, he opened up the window to require Samantha to file for not just a worker benefit, but her spousal benefit at that same time. So let's say that Samantha's full retirement age benefit is $600. If she collected at age 62, it would be reduced by 25% or to $450, as you can see in the blue. If she waited to age 70, it would be increased by 32% to $792, as you can see in the blue on the right. Now, when you add her spousal benefits to the equation, you can then see how it gets a little tricky because her maximum spousal benefit will never be more than 50% of Jeremy's worker full retirement age benefit. So how does the Social Security Administration make sure that that happens with claimants? By just proclaiming that your own worker benefit and your spousal benefit combined are not ever going to be aggregated, but rather what they call coordinated. That tricky language, right? Remember the old thing about what the big print giveth, the small print taketh away? Okay, that means that Samantha's spousal benefit at its core is only ever going to be worth a maximum of $1,100, which means if she collects her spousal benefit age at her full retirement age, along with her own benefit, she'll add an additional $500 of spousal benefit to her own worker benefit of $600 for a total of $1,100, or 50% of Jeremy's full retirement age benefit. If she files for her Social Security benefits at age 62, her $500 spousal benefit will be reduced by 30% to $350 for a combined worker and spousal benefit total of $800. On the other hand, if she waited until age 70 to file her Social Security benefits, this is where it gets tricky. Even though her worker benefit will increase by 32% to $792, her spousal benefit is actually reduced to $308. This is because $1,100 is all they will pay her if her own worker benefit is less than 50% of Jeremy's worker benefit. The end result of this convoluted formula is that Samantha will receive as a spousal benefit of no more than 50% of Jeremy's full retirement age PIA. Also, it's important to note that you cannot file for spousal benefits unless your spouse has already filed for their individual worker benefit first. We call this opening up the window for a spousal benefit to be filed. Also, there are a few more details you should understand when it comes to spousal benefits. You have to take your spousal benefits at your full retirement age in order to receive the full 50% of your spouse's full retirement age worker benefit. So you have to wait. You have to wait to your full retirement age. You have to be at least age 62 in order to qualify to receive a spousal benefit. And of course, at that age, it will be reduced by 30%. You must be married at least 12 consecutive months to be entitled to it. That may be a bullet point. I'm just pointing that out. When you file, if you're eligible for both worker and spousal benefits, the end result is that you will receive the higher of the two. Okay, if your spouse were to pass away while you were still married, you have to be married at least 9 months to receive a widow or widower's benefit on your spouse's work record. Now, there are two exceptions to this. One is if your spouse passes away as a result of an accident, or two, from active military duty. Let me see something. I just want to check something here. Well, I thought that might be a bullet point, but it wasn't. Okay. When it comes to divorced spousal benefits, now we just went through regular spousal benefits. These are divorced spousal benefits. You have to have been married at least 10 years. Bullet point. You have to be currently unmarried. your ex-spouse must be at least age 62 for you to collect off them. If you are divorced for less than 2 years, then your ex-spouse must be receiving either retirement benefits or Social Security disability benefits for you to be eligible to receive a spousal benefit. So that's if you're divorced less than 2 years. If you're divorced for 2 years or more, your ex-spouse does not need to be collecting any Social Security benefits at all for you to be eligible to collect. Okay. When it comes to divorce, check this out. The rules for divorced survivor spousal benefits. So that was divorced spousal benefits. You're still alive. This is for divorced survivor spousal benefits. This is if you're, this is for a situation where your ex-spouse passes away after you were already divorced. You have to have been married to your deceased ex-spouse for at least 10 years. You must be at least age 60 to collect, or age 50 if you're disabled. However, whenever you collect any Social Security benefits before your full retirement age, they will be reduced. After age 60, you can be unmarried or married as long as it happens after you turn age 60, and you'll be eligible. Again, it will be reduced if you collect early, but if you get married at age 60 or after, you can still actually collect that benefit. Now, let's take a look at some advanced filing strategies so you can see for yourself how your benefits could be increased by timing and planning to file them at certain strategic times. Now, before we discuss some of the different strategies to consider, let me state a few bullet points. One, again, remember that since Social Security claims reps are not allowed to give you advice to help you maximize your benefits, they give you advice, but they can't give advice to help you maximize the benefits. You have to be ready, and you have to be able to create your own plan in advance of going in there. Second, if you're part of a family where multiple people will be eligible for benefits, it will give you a greater opportunity to maximize your benefits if you can coordinate the timing of how they're all implemented. Now, usually it's just a husband and a wife or two spouses, okay? But sometimes you can actually get into coordinating two spouses and a child benefit. Theoretically, you could even have a parent getting a benefit. So if you coordinate them timing-wise, that's how you can have an opportunity to get the most out of the program. Now, to really fine-tune a plan to get every penny out of the system, you can't be thinking in terms of taking your benefits at the standard exact ages of 62, 66, 67, or 70, okay? 62 being the first age it's available to you, 66 or 67 being the full retirement ages, or age 70 means just maxing it out. That's what we call inside the box thinking, and it won't produce a maximum benefit situation 99% of the time. Now, you have to micromanage the benefits by taking into consideration all of the various benefit types that each person's eligible for, and the combination of all 96 months that each person is eligible in, and then combine each person's optimal months for each benefit available to them together to find the combination that will produce the maximum amount received overall. That is what we call situational Social Security, or out of the box thinking when it comes to it. It takes a little doing, which is probably why 90% of the people don't do it. But believe me, it's worth it, especially over your lifetime. Don't rely on claims reps to help you do it. It's just not going to happen. Okay. One other thing for you to consider prior to creating your plan is whether you or your spouse were born prior to January 1st, 1954. Bullet point, January 1st, 1954. If you were born on that day or before then that's something to consider. This is because, like I mentioned before, anybody born after that, in 2015, the Bipartisan Budget Act was passed by Congress, and it began a phase-out process for 2 of the 5 claiming choices that were available at that time. The first was the file and suspend strategy. That got phased out pretty quickly, actually. It ended, the last day that you could file for it was April 29, 2016. It was available to allow claimants to choose between taking either their worker or spousal benefit separately and leaving one or the other of them to grow until a later date, regardless of whether their spouse had filed for their benefits or not. We practically cried when that ended. The second is actually still available to some people, but will be completely phased out once everyone that was born on or before January 1st, 1954 has turned age 70. Right now, everybody that was born on that day or before is around age 68. It's called a restricted application, and it allows you to claim a spousal benefit off your spouse's work record while leaving your own worker benefit to still earn delayed retirement credits. That's that 8% increase until age 70, if you'd like. Although this strategy is only available to folks born before the magic birth date, remember it, January 1st, 1954. So if you were, you should definitely give this some serious thought when it comes to creating your own personal Social Security strategy. Let's finally meet Jeremy and Samantha, our fictitious married couple, planning out their Social Security benefits. Jeremy, again, is the higher wage earner, and they both have a full retirement age of 66, which means that they were both born before January 1st, 1967. Keep that in mind. Okay, if they both started collecting at age 62, which is the earliest they could file, and had life expectancies of only 75 for Jeremy and 82 for Sam, then Jeremy would receive his own reduced monthly benefit of $1,650, down from $2,200, reduced 25%. Samantha will receive her own reduced monthly benefit of $450. $600, so the $600 reduced by 25%, which we showed you in that other scenario. In addition to the $350 spousal benefit or spousal boost, which was reduced by 30%. And she'd receive that until Jeremy passed away at age 75. So this is for a scenario where longevity is not estimated. So when Jeremy passes away at age 75, Samantha would be eligible to receive the higher of the two, $1,650 for survivor benefits. Her previous benefit would stop since the $1,650 is greater than the $800 she was collecting. At the end of the day, they'd receive, based on those life expectancies, a total of $550,200 back from Social Security throughout their lifetime. Now, Had Samantha and Jeremy both waited until their full retirement age of 66, Jeremy would receive his full retirement age monthly benefit of $2,200, and Samantha would receive her full retirement age monthly benefit of $600 with that additional $500 spousal benefit. When Jeremy passes away, again at age 75 in this scenario, Samantha would then be eligible to receive his $2,200 as a survivor benefit. Even though they received benefits for a lesser period of time, because they received higher amounts, they actually received $580,800 back, which is roughly $30,000 difference from collecting from age 62. So here you can see lesser period of time, but actually they take more out of the system over their life expectancy. Now let's look at that age 70 scenario. This is that, remember we were thinking inside the box, right? 62, 66. We did 62 first, did 66 just then. Now we're going to do age 70, which is the latest they can collect and still receive a higher benefit. As you can see, had they both waited until age 70, they would have only received $532,224 in total benefits over their lifetime. Both the other scenarios would be higher. So when you don't have longevity on your side, Jeremy in this case only lives to age 75. Waiting to age 70 may not always be in your best interest. That's why it's suggested that you always consider your potential life expectancy, along with different age and benefit combinations, to see which will provide you with the greatest amount of benefits and flexibility under different circumstances. Now, let's get creative. What if the lower earner, in this case, Samantha, started collecting at age 62? But Jeremy waits until age 66, his full retirement age. Well, since Jeremy had not filed at first, Samantha would only receive her worker benefit. She's not eligible for a spousal benefit until Jeremy files. Many times, this is actually a very good strategy for a lower earning spouse to use, while the higher earner spouse waits until their full retirement or even later. Plus, if the higher earner was born by January 1st, 1954, they could even file a restricted application at their full retirement age and receive a spousal benefit while the worker benefit keeps growing as much as 32%. In the scenario shown here, Samantha begins collecting her reduced worker benefit at $450 at age 62. Jeremy decides to file for his worker benefit at age 66, receiving $2,200. And in turn, Samantha is now eligible and begins receiving her additional $500 spousal benefit because Jeremy filed later. Also, because she is at her full retirement age, she begins the spousal benefits. That portion is not reduced anymore. At the end of the day, by using the strategy shown here, Jeremy and Samantha collect a total of $584,400 from the Social Security throughout their lifetimes. This is greater than what they would have even received at their inside the box ages of 62, 66, and 70. This is the result of using a situational Social Security strategy or out of the box claiming strategy. Now, let's add some longevity to the mix. We're going to be finishing up here soon on these strategies. If Jeremy lives to age 85 and Samantha to 92, the strategy we just discussed no longer provides the largest amount of benefits. The best option is for Jeremy and Samantha, in this case, would be for them to both to begin collecting at age 70. because they would actually collect a little over $50,000 more throughout their lifetime when compared to the strategy that would have worked best for them had they not had longevity on their side. Of course, we don't have a crystal ball, so all we can do is try to be as objective as we can as it relates to our potential life expectancies. In fact, with longevity on their side, them both taking their benefits, even at their full retirement ages, in this situation, would also work out to be slightly better for them as well. It would produce an additional $14,400 more than that prior recommended strategy would have, the one without longevity on their side. This is why it's important to look at several different scenarios and to do your best to apply what you think is more likely to prevail in your situation, hence situational Social Security. Let's keep longevity on our side, but mix things up a little bit. This is an option that should be considered when you have a couple that both have spousal benefits that are lower than their own worker benefits. So if your spousal benefit, that 50% is lower than your own worker benefit, and you have longevity on your side, this scenario is something to consider. Here, Jeremy decides to collect his benefit at his full retirement age, which gives Samantha the choice of collecting her own worker benefit of $1,400 in this case, or her spousal benefit of $1,100. If she chooses to collect the spousal benefit, she must file that restricted application, because remember, we said these two guys are eligible. Two folks are eligible, which would allow her worker benefit to continue to grow up until age 70 if she prefers. Then she can switch to her increased worker benefit. At that point, it's increased up to $1,848. As you can see, Jeremy and Samantha both start collecting at age 66, but notice the difference filing a restricted application makes for Samantha as opposed to filing off her own record at that time. It's a difference of $72,000. Of course, this strategy won't work if Samantha doesn't file a restricted application, because the SSA will automatically compare the individual benefits and the spousal benefits and pay her the higher of the two. And it cannot work if Samantha and Jeremy decide to file their claims before their full retirement age either, because you can only file a restricted application at your full retirement age. So even if you're eligible for a restricted application, you can't file one until you get to your full retirement age. Also, notice that if they both wait until age 70 to collect, this will maximize their benefits throughout their lifetime, providing them with $1,156,320, which is roughly $36,000 more than the strategy shown even here. Uh-oh. All right, lost my page. Also, Samantha must have been born before January 1st, 1954 to file that restricted application, even though this claiming strategy is decreasing in usage, because you can only really have to be basically 68 now. It's still available to many people 68 and over, and they can still take advantage of it for a while. Now, let's look at one last scenario. Another time to potentially switch between benefits is when a widow or a widower is entitled to survivor benefits. So this could just be a single person. Someone's entitled to survivor benefits and has a good sized worker benefit of their own as well. In many cases, folks like Jeremy and Samantha might compare their worker benefit to their survivor benefit and just do what seems most logical and collect the higher of the two benefits, which is what most people do. However, the best way to maximize their benefits would be to start collecting one and then switch to the other at age 70 so it can grow that 8% per year for those extra 4 years. So in this scenario, if it was Samantha, she would collect her survivor benefit at age 60, because remember, you can collect a survivor benefit even earlier than the worker benefit. Thus, by receiving a reduced survivor benefit for the first 10 years collecting, she allows her worker benefit to grow all the way up to age 70. Then at 70, she begins collecting her own worker benefit, which has grown to $2,904, 132% of her original benefit, worker benefit. Using this strategy could boost her lifetime income amount by $200,000. It also allows her to collect just under $1 million throughout her lifetime. Wouldn't it be awesome to be able to collect an extra $200,000 in retirement? So the big question for you folks on this webinar today is, how can this work for you? Which is, of course, why many of you chose to attend this workshop today. So here are my thoughts when it comes to that. And it's also why I decided to extend a pretty good offer out to everyone on the webinar today. These recommendations are for all of you do-it-yourselfers like myself. First, I would without a doubt seek out some more advanced education on the topic of Social Security and Social Security planning, because there are quite a few rules that apply to each type of election choice and the various benefits that Social Security offers. A, I would read some Social Security related books, go to Amazon and search Social Security planning books. B, take an online class. The National Social Security Advisors Association have several good ones. You can go to www.premiernssa.com. Secondly, I highly recommend investing in a good Social Security planning software. There are actually some great ones out there. Maximize My Social Security, Social Security Timing is another one. Social Security Visualizer are just a few of the more affordable ones that I've used. Finally, if these two recommendations are not an option for you, then seek out a good Social Security advisor to consult with and to assist you with your Social Security planning. You can even contact Mark Kiner at the NSSA to ask him to refer you to one in your area. So folks, that concludes our workshop for today. Before we move on to our 6-question quiz and to answer any questions that you have, I'd like to extend an offer to everyone on our webinar right now. We have 3 Social Security planning packages that we currently offer our clients. I'd like to extend to everyone on tonight's webinar these no obligation offers related to each of these Social Security services that we provide. Social Security, the first is what we call Social Security Online Application Assistance Package. We actually help people. We do a Zoom meeting where we can meet together, and we actually will go online with them and assist them in filing online. We usually charge $250 for that, but we're offering 50% off at $125. Secondly, we have something we call Social Security Maximization Package. We usually charge $375. We're offering that for $200. And finally, the biggest one, the one with the most value we offer, is called a Social Security Personalization Package. Now, with the Maximization Package, we really don't get into looking at any of your personal information except for whatever your Social Security statements. And it kind of lives in a vacuum. We'll tell you what our software says is the best strategy for you to take, or give you a few different choices. but it lives in a vacuum. It may or may not work best for your individual situation. The Social Security personalization package is actually where we take all the information in from that person and coordinate that with their Social Security information as well. And we actually can tell them whether those maximized recommendations will actually work best within their own personal situation, or if another situation may work better, or if one that they prefer, like say they want to retire at certain ages and taking their Social Security at those ages, whether it will work for them or not. And this we're actually offering complimentary. We usually charge $500. We're actually offering it to everybody on today's webinar for free. Complimentary. We wanted to offer to the union community something with the most value that we had. And so all you have to do to take advantage of that is Rachel's going to put a link up, and it's going to be for a 60-minute meeting. If you book that before midnight tonight, we're going to give you that Social Security personalization package for free. If you put it up after midnight tonight, we're still going to offer it for 50%. If you get it in, if for whatever reason you need time to think about it, whatever. If you get it into us by Friday, we'll offer it for 50% off. So, all right. That concludes our presentation for today. So we can now jump into our 6-question quiz. Then we're going to answer your questions before we conclude the webinar. So let's jump into it, Rachel. All right, now remember them bullet points, folks. What year did the Social Security system go into effect? Put it in your comment box, in your chat, in your Q&A box. Or no, I'm sorry, in your chat box. What year did the Social Security system go into effect? Anybody, Rachel?
Come on, there we go. Not yet, they're close. There's a few answers, they're close, but they're not quite there.
Oh, that's what year it started, 1935. 1937.
There we go, Dave.
All right, Dave Haverly. Good job. Now, Dave, do us a favor and put in the just under your answer where you would like your $10 gift card from. So just so you know, normally Target and Amazon will allow us to send them by email. We like to send them out by email. All right. Second question. How much in total benefits were paid out in 1937? The first year, not the exact number. I showed one that was the exact number, just the rough number. Total benefits. How much did they pay out in 1937?
Oh, looks like Brett got it.
All right.
Brett Cutler.
All right, Brett, good job. Let us know where you want your gift card to. Number 3. In what year did the total benefits being paid out pass $1 trillion? 2019.
Arlene. Okay.
Nice. Good job. Let us know where you're going to want your gift card, Darlene. All right. Number 4. How long does someone need to be married to collect a spousal benefit? Remember, I pointed out that bullet point. 12 months. Yes. Good job, Dave. Dave's going to get a $20 gift card now.
I think that was Brett. Said 12 months. Yeah.
Was it Brett? It was Brett.
Yeah, Brett got it first.
Oh, okay. Brett got 2 of them?
Yeah.
Okay, Brett, and Darlene, we got your email, but we need to know where you want the $10 gift card from. And now Brett, $20 gift card. Did he put in his? Yeah, he did. Amazon. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. How long does someone need to be married? Now remember this. How long does someone need to be married to collect the divorced spousal benefit?
Oh, that looks like, oh no, they're going so fast. I can't.
Uh-oh.
I think what's that? Oh, goodness.
Well, Dave got one before, so why don't we go with T. Dolan?
Right,
Dave got,
okay.
did you get two
Is that
before?
that one?
Or did Dave get two or did he get one? Got 12 months.
Mhm.
And he got the 1937, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so let's go with T. Dolan. That was the first one. Yep, 10 years. Final question. What date? What date does someone need to be born by to file a restricted application? Election choice. That magic date. It looks like Dave, right? January 1st, 1954.
Yep.
Dave, Todd. Okay. I think you're gonna have to go with Dave. He got it first. So, all right, there's our six questions. Everybody, we have all your, please put in your where you'd like the gift card from for. So Rachel can jot that down. And let's do a few questions if anybody has them.
Okay, so one was, I'm 61 years old as of 3/10/2022. At 62, I will not work at all or very little. Apply for Social Security due to disability. Should I collect my Social Security benefits at 62 or should I wait?
I'm 61 years old as of 3/10/22, right? Just turned it.
Mhm.
62, I will not work at all or very little as I apply for Social Security disability. Should I collect Social Security benefits at age 62 or wait? Are you going to be receiving Social Security disability benefits? Do you know if you're going to? Ed? If you're going, let me just go off the choices here. If you're going to be collecting Social Security disability benefits, then you'll collect them till you get your full retirement age. At your full retirement age, they'll automatically transition them into being retirement benefits. Usually, the Social Security disability payment is almost identical. If you knew how it was calculated, it's almost identical to the full retirement age benefit amount. So the benefit amount will pretty much stay the same. It's just now you'll have to go by the retired worker rules versus the Social Security disability rules, which are a lot stricter when it comes to working and all those types of things. At your full retirement age, you can actually go on a worker benefit, you can actually go back to work without any restrictions. On a Social Security disability claim, you can't. That's why they transition it. They just basically, they convert the benefit disability from a disability benefit to a retirement benefit. If you're collecting a Social Security disability benefit, then you can do that at any age. And if you qualify, then yeah, I would definitely do it. If you don't collect a disability benefit, I would look at your overall situation financially in terms of what your need is for those benefits before I would start them at age 62. Because you're going to take a reduction somewhere between 25 and 30%, depending on when your full retirement age. If your full retirement age is 67, you're actually going to take a 30% reduction. So I would consider putting it off if you have ample income or investments or savings or whatever to get it as close to your full retirement age benefit as possible. And of course, if you're going to work at all, part-time or whatever, just to get out of the house, you just got to keep that into account, because if you get over $19,000, $19,560, they're going to actually start reducing your benefit. They're going to take some money away from you. So I'm not saying not to collect at 62. If you had to, needed the money, you were going to use the money, and you weren't going to work, then absolutely. If you're going to work, so it starts mattering what you're going to do if you take it at 62. If you can afford to, I would put it off as long as you could. All right.
Okay, ready for another one?
Yeah.
All right, a couple more. I'm a 65-year-old widow. My full retirement age will be 66 and 6 months. If I collect a widow benefit early, will I receive a reduced benefit?
That's a good one. So you will reduce your reduction in the widow benefit will not impact your own retirement benefit. You'll receive a full benefit even though you took your widow benefit prior to full retirement age. And that's because deemed filing, like we talked about, does not apply to widow or widower benefits. It's the only situation where it doesn't. So even though your widow or widower benefit will be reduced if you take it early, when you switch over to your worker benefit, that's not going to be a reduced benefit.
So you ready for one more?
Do one more.
Okay. My wife and I both recently retired. We received a letter from the Social Security Administration saying that based on our combined income, that we'll have to pay more for our Medicare, even though our current retirement income is much less than our working income was. Can we do anything to change this?
This is actually a really common thing that happens to people when they have two gainfully employed spouses. And a lot of times, because unfortunately, this Medicare, they look at your 2 years in advance, your income. Many times people's incomes 2 years before they retired exceed their what they call IRMA limits. And then they have to start paying what they call a surcharge. But there are exceptions. And what happens is if you file what's called an SSA 44 form, you can get that off Social Security or the Medicare site. And you just, you request for what they call reconsideration, showing that you had what's called a life-changing event. That's what and retirement's considered a life-changing event. And your current income is actually a lot less, a lot reduced because you're retired. So you just need to fill out that form, and that will allow you to and then within 90 days they should get back, and they could actually make an exception and take that surcharge away. All right. I think that's sorry. How did that happen? All right, well, that concludes our out of their busy schedule to attend our webinar today. I truly commend you for being the type of people that are looking to better inform yourselves on important topics like this one. I would also like to thank our special co-host and my brother, Joe Dougherty, the Executive Director of the Injured Workers Advocacy Program, PhillyLabor.com, and host of the Labor Show on 10/12/10. Thanks for being with us tonight, Joe, and being such a big supporter and advocate of these educational webinars. Anything that you wanted to mention before we sign off there?
No, I just want to thank everybody for joining us on the webinar. I hope you've learned something important. We appreciate your time, and we love providing the information. And again, we're going to be providing free webinars every month or bi-monthly. And we appreciate your time.
How can people get in touch with you if they wanted to talk to you?
Well, they can hit me on my email. I give my personal email out, joedoc3@gmail.com, JOEDOC3@gmail.com. If you want to tune into the Labor Show, go to Talk Radio 1210 WPHT every Saturday night from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And, any questions you might have, send me an email and I'm happy to answer it. And again, thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely. They could go to PhillyLabor.com and find you as well. Joe's
Exactly.
all over that as well. So also, I want to thank my wonderful partner in business and life, Rachel Dougherty. Thank you, Rachel, as always. Again, folks, my name's Brian Dougherty, partner of PhillyLabor.com and PLC Financial Solutions, located in Fort Washington, in the Fort Washington area. You can get in touch with me if you have any questions related to our topic today or anything else for that matter by calling me at either 215-804-9708, or you can go to our website at plcfs.com and email me or schedule a complimentary 15-minute Q&A phone call meeting. Did you put that link up, Rachel? Rachel put that link up, and I'd be happy to discuss whatever you'd like to discuss, really. Also, folks, I hope to see you on some of our future webinars. Philly Labor will soon be posting a schedule for future webinars with the union community, but PLC Financial Solutions hosts free webinars on the last Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m., but not next month because Rachel's birthday is on the last Tuesday of April. So we're having it on Wednesday. We're making an exception. We're having it on Wednesday, April 27th at 7 p.m. But other than that, we do PLC Financial Solutions does our free webinars the last Tuesday of every month. Also, Rachel has posted the links to schedule that. Anybody who's interested in our Social Security packages with us in the comment box. We'll be leaving this webinar live for the next 30 minutes, so you have time to copy and paste those links somewhere where you can either have access to them later, or if you want to click on them now and go to them and schedule that 1 hour meeting. Also, our webinar this next month is going to be understanding estate planning. All right, folks. Have a great night, and we'll see you next month. See you guys.
Good night.
Good night.